Good afternoon, everyone. So we will be discussing in this class from where we left in the last class. We were discussing on charge of GST. So we will continue charge of GST and take it forward. As I had discussed last time, so if there's any doubts, we'll take that up first. Please ask your queries and then we could proceed. In terms of first, what we have discussed in the last class, then you can ask any questions prior to in relation to any prior topics also. But we'll give preference to the topic which was covered in the previous class first. Yes, Hardik Marwa.
Hello.
Yes.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir, I have a doubt in relation to section 5 and 5A of RCM, in which there were residential dwellings.
Okay.
Yes, sir, in that, sir, if the services are provided by a local authority to a registered person, then the recipient, there it is written that the recipient must be registered in CGST Act 2017. And below it, if there is services of renting by the way of residential dwelling from any unregistered person to a registered person, then it is written that the person should be registered in GST Act. So, sir, this means that CGST Act and GST Act are both same.
Yes, there is one registration which you get for all the GST acts. So any registration in CGST Act, why they're given CGST Act over here is because this notification is issued under the CGST Act. So parallelly, you will have a notification under the SGST Act also.
Yes, sir.
So under that, they will mention as any person registered under the SGST Act. But it means even if they do not mention specifically CGST Act, if they just mention GST Act, that would also mean that he is the same category. There is no difference between mentioning CGST and just GST.
Okay, sir. And sir, I have one more doubt. Sir, can you please explain a casual taxable person?
Casual taxable person. Okay. Casual taxable person means a person who takes registration temporary. Like a person is in the state of Bihar. Now he is going to Delhi and wanting to sell some goods on a temporary basis, because if it is a permanent basis, then it becomes a fixed establishment. Then he will have to take a proper normal registration there. But if he's going for a short-term duration, the short-term duration could be up to 90 days time, wherein he will set up an exhibition, or could be he's going for some event, finishing that and coming back. So he will have to register there because he's not selling from his home state, he's going to different state and selling. So he will have to take a temporary registration. That temporary registration is called as registration as a casual taxable person.
Sir, it is same like we have in Delhi trade fair. So different traders from different states come here to sell their products. So they are CTPs.
Correct.
Okay, sir. And sir, can you please explain renting of motor vehicle, in which there were two case scenarios, that 12% and 5%. So, sir, in case of 12%,
goods transport agency.
No, sir. In motor vehicle also there are two cases. In 12%.
Yes.
Sir, it is not covered. Okay, sir.
Yes, please. So there are two scenarios, same like how in GTA we have. Similarly, you have in rent. You see in GTA, if you see the slide, you have RCM applicable at 5%, and the GTA can pay tax at 5%, wherein he will not get the ITC, or he can pay at 12% and he can claim the ITC. Okay.
Yes,
another option is, that is the option for GTA. Now for renting of motor vehicles also, you have two options. One is if it is on forward charge. It will be either 5 or 12, or if it is on reverse charge, then it is 5% always. So if the company which is renting motor vehicles, you have to first understand that renting motor vehicles is not the criteria here. Renting of motor vehicles, including cost of fuel. Okay.
Okay, sir.
And if you're a corporate, then if you're wanting to pay at forward charge, you have two options. One is when you say that I will pay 5%, then you cannot claim all the credits, you will have to claim limited credit. Second option is no 5%, yeah, supplier having limited credit. Second option is you pay 12% and claim all the credits.
Sir, here limited credit means no credit.
No, limited credit. So they would have said no credit, like how in GTA, but here they have said limited credit, which means the credit you can take is in respect of any other renting of motor vehicles if you're taking from some other vendor. Because you are into the business of renting motor vehicle, if you take renting from any other supplier, only that credit you can claim.
Okay,
All
sir.
other credits you cannot claim.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
हेलो
Yes, madam.
सर, आप कल लास्ट क्लास में जो हम लोग स्पॉन्सरशिप के बारे में पढ़े थे, क्या आप उसको फिर से थोड़ा ब्रीफ कर सकते हैं?
आपने लास्ट टाइम का रिकॉर्डिंग देखा?
यस सर, मैं यूट्यूब पे जाके देखी हूँ। मेरे को थोड़ा कंफ्यूज हो गया क्योंकि किसी ने आपने क्रिकेट के बात पे कहा ना कि कंसिडरेशन के बदले हम कंसिडरेशन ले लिए, तो वो थोड़ा कंफ्यूज हो गया।
स्पॉन्सरशिप आप ऐसे समझिए ताकि आपको समझ में आएगा दैट तो दो पर्सन है, एक है कंपनी, और क्रिकेट को छोड़ दीजिए क्योंकि क्रिकेट में ही कंफ्यूजन था कि आप एक अभी नवरात्रि चल रहा है, नवरात्रि का आप स्टॉल लगा रहे हो और उसमें कंपनी को बोल रहे हो आप हमें स्पॉन्सर कीजिए, हम आपको आपका बैनर्स वगैरह डालेंगे। ऑफ कोर्स कोई भी स्पॉन्सरशिप देगा तो वो कुछ तो चाहिए होगा कि उसको कि उसका कहीं ना कहीं नाम डिस्प्ले हो,
यस सर।
करेक्ट? तो एक कंपनी से आप अप्रोच करते हो और कंपनी को बोलते कि आप हमें स्पॉन्सरशिप दीजिए, हमें स्पॉन्सर चाहिए एंड वी विल डिस्प्ले एट दिस प्लेस। छोटा चाहिए तो छोटा स्पॉन्सर, बड़ा बैनर चाहिए तो फिर बड़ा स्पॉन्सर लेना पड़ेगा। सो द कंपनी अग्रीज। नाउ इस केस में कंपनी स्पॉन्सर कर रही है इस इवेंट को, करेक्ट? तो सर्विस कौन प्रोवाइड कर रहा है? आप जो इवेंट रख रहे हो, आप सर्विस प्रोवाइड कर रहे हो, ठीक है? और फिर सर्विस रिसीवर कौन हो गया फिर?
नॉर्मल पब्लिक।
नॉर्मल पब्लिक इज द थर्ड पार्टी, ठीक है? नॉर्मल पब्लिक देखेगा, दैट इज द बेनिफिट, बट हु इज गेटिंग दैट बेनिफिट?
जिनको सप्लाई हुआ है, जो बैनर लगा के बैठे हुए हैं, जिनको स्पॉन्सरशिप मिला है,
दे आर द सर्विस प्रोवाइडर। जिन्होंने बैनर लगाया हुआ है वो सर्विस प्रोवाइडर है। एक ही आदमी सर्विस प्रोवाइडर और सर्विस रिसीवर दोनों हो सकता है?
नो सर।
नो। सो ही इज द सर्विस प्रोवाइडर। वो सर्विस प्रोवाइड कर रहा है कि मैं आपका बैनर इस जगह पे डालूंगा, करेक्ट? ही हैज दैट राइट टू पुट द स्पॉन्सरर्स नेम एंड ही हैज द राइट टू वेयर टू प्लेस इट। तो वो सर्विस प्रोवाइडर हो गया। सर्विस रिसीवर कौन होगा?
रिसीवर जो स्पॉन्सर कर रहा है।
स्पॉन्सर कर रहे हैं, करेक्ट? तो जो स्पॉन्सर कर रहा है वो सर्विस रिसीवर हो गया। और जीएसटी अभी आरसीएम में आते हैं तो आरसीएम कौन पे करेगा? सर्विस प्रोवाइडर या सर्विस रिसीवर?
रिसीवर।
रिसीवर। सो इस केस में कंपनी सर्विस रिसीवर है तो कंपनी रिवर्स चार्ज पे करेगा।
ओके ओके, यस सर, अब क्लिक किया। थैंक यू।
तो मेन पॉइंट इसमें समझने वाली क्या है, विच यू कैन यूज इट फॉर अदर सिनारियोज ऑल्सो। जो अमाउंट दे रहा है, करेक्ट, स्पॉन्सरशिप में कंपनी अमाउंट दे रही है, तो द पर्सन हु पेज द कंसिडरेशन is generally the service receiver.
Yes, sir.
So you don't get confused with that part.
Thank you.
Yes, Virender. Virender, are you trying to tell something? We are not able to hear you. Okay. Okay. So in the last class or in exam, should we write receiver or recipient? The receiver of service is the recipient. So you can generally mention as service provider and service receiver. Both are fine. Receiver or recipient, both would be same. Okay. So last class we had discussed on GT. We understood the various scenarios. Everybody answered correctly that who should pay the liability when there is a consignor and consignee. So we understood that if the GTA wants to pay the GST, he has two options. He can pay at 12% with full credit or 5% with no credit. Okay. And then if the receiver wants to pay, or receiver does not have an option, if the service provider does not pay, then the receiver has to pay it. Correct? When the receiver will have to pay, if he's one of those 7 category of people, and when he is the receiver, he will always pay at 5%. He will not pay at 12%. Now this 5% what he's paying, that can he claim the credit? No, most of you are saying no. Okay. There's a mixed reaction. Few people are saying no, he cannot claim the credit. Few are saying yes. So when you see this chart carefully, it is when the GTA exercise the options to pay itself, then 5%, okay, is without credit. But my question was where the GTA does not exercise and I have to pay the GST under reverse charge, I will pay 5%. On that, there is no restriction that credit will not be available. The restriction is only when the service provider wants to pay. So service receiver can always claim that credit. The beauty of reverse charge is that you pay the reverse charge and then you can claim the credit as well. So even in case of a GTA, if the provider is not paying, the receiver will have to pay. Receiver will always pay at 5% and he can claim the credit. Okay. Similar to this, now it is clear. Now there is another service which is under reverse charge, similar to GTA service, which is called as reverse charge or forward charge. Of course, both mix is there. In terms of renting of motor vehicle, this is renting of motor vehicle including cost of fuel, where the service is provided by a body corporate. Then service is supplied to any person. If the supplier wants to avail full credit, then he will pay 12%. If he wants to avail limited credit, right? Limited credit means ITC of input services in the same line of business. ITC in respect of input services in the same line of business. So a rental company will use another in the same line of business will be services of another motor vehicle supplier who's giving him on rent, correct? So ITC of input services in the same line of business will be available. Then he will be taxing it at a lower rate of 5%, where the service is supplied by a non-body corporate. So service provider per se, it will always be forward charge, correct? Because service provider, if he is a corporate, then he cannot say I will not pay GST. He will always have to pay it. Now, when a company is there, company is running this renting of motor vehicles, they will charge to the customer for this, and in the invoice only they will collect the GST and pay it. That is called forward charge. But when service is provided by person other than body corporate, correct? Who can be other than body corporate? It can be a partnership firm, it can be a proprietorship, it can be a Hindu undivided family. So only these three options are there. When one of these person, that is a proprietor, a HUF or a partnership firm, provides this service. Now, whom are they providing to? They are providing to any person other than body corporate. Matlab, in these category of person, that is person, individual, HUF or a partnership firm, provide services to another individual, HUF or partnership. What will be the thing? Service supplied to person other than body corporate. Then service, again, the tax will be payable by the service provider itself. But if the person who is providing is not a body corporate and he provides to another body corporate, then if he wants to pay at 12%. Then if he says, no, I will not pay, again, if he wants to pay, he can pay again at 12 or 5. But if the receiver has to pay it, generally the receiver will have to pay it there, then it will be at 5%. Similar to GTA, where the receiver has to pay. There also it is 5%. Here also, in case of renting of motor vehicle, it will, if the receiver wants to pay, he will always pay at 5%. क्लियर है इसमें? Yes, Virender Sharma.
Sir, my name is Tambeshwari. Sir, rename is not used. Sir, I ask you the forward charge and reverse charge between what different?
Okay. Hardik, what is your question?
Sir, like in GTA, receiver can claim the ITC if he pays the tax. Same is the case in here also.
Yes, same here also. When a person who's a body corporate who pays the reverse charge for renting of motor vehicle, they can claim the credit. But I will change my answer when we come to input tax credit. According till your understanding till here is correct, but it will change once you go to input tax credit.
Okay, sir.
Kambeshwari, for your reference, we had a slide specifically on your question. Please go through this slide and tell me what is not understandable in this.
Yes, sir. ये सर हमने पहले भी किया है ना?
करेक्ट. तो आपको क्लास में थोड़ा अटेंशन पे करना पड़ेगा, अदरवाइज सेम टॉपिक्स को हम बार बार रिपीट करेंगे तो आगे नहीं बढ़ पाएंगे.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sorry,
So
sir.
you will have to be very very attentive in the class, वरना फिर
Yes,
आपका टाइम वेस्ट हो रहा है क्लास में.
yes, sir.
Okay. So renting of motor vehicle, you have understood. Now let's proceed with what is the difference between renting of motor vehicle and transport of passengers. This we had seen even before that. There may be cases where you rent a motor vehicle or you rent a car. Now, whether it is renting of motor vehicle or service of transportation of passengers, how do you distinguish? This is there is a clarification which clarifies this, that there is a distinction definitely between these two services. The two services fall under different headings in the tariff, which means the HSN number, which is for goods, and service accounting number, which is for services. There is different service accounting code for renting of motor vehicles and another code for transportation of passengers. दोनों के लिए SAC, service accounted code, firstly is different. Okay, that is fine, sir. Whatever SAC you tell me, I will do it. I will provide service of transportation, but mention the HSN of renting, correct? So anybody can say that. The important aspect is if it is renting of motor vehicle, then reverse charge may come. If it is service of transportation of passengers, then reverse charge doesn't come, because reverse charge is only on the first line, first item, which is renting of motor vehicle designed to carry passengers. But for service of transportation of passengers, reverse charge doesn't come. So how do you decide it? The clarification says that service of renting of motor vehicle designed to carry passengers, the first part, this part wherein it is service of renting of motor vehicles, will cover renting of motor vehicle for transportation of passengers for a period of time. So these three independent elements will be there, which is you're renting a motor vehicle, you're using it for transportation of passengers, and it is for a fixed period of time. Okay, where the renter defines how and when the vehicles will be operated, determines the schedules, the routes, and other operational considerations, then it is renting of motor vehicles. Okay, where if I am taking a vehicle on rent, I will decide my route, I will decide when the vehicles will operate, I will decide the routes and all other considerations, then it is renting of motor vehicles. But if it is passenger transportation, that is service of transportation of passengers, then it will cover passenger transport service, where over the transportation services are over predetermined routes. So you cannot decide the route, you cannot decide the timings, you do not have any control other than going and occupying and using that service. So जब हम कैब बुक करते हैं एक जगह से दूसरी जगह पे, then when it is on a fixed module saying that it is for transportation of passengers, there you do not have any control, there reverse charge doesn't come. But where you are renting it for a fixed time period and you are telling that I will decide which route to go, then only it is renting of motor vehicles.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir, in services of renting of motor vehicle, passenger will decide routes and time.
Correct. Because
And
you are taking the whole motor vehicle on rent. You are taking the complete car on rent. You are not a passenger who will only use a pre-availed transportation. You can correlate this with traveling in a bus. When you travel in a bus, the route is predetermined. You cannot alter the route. When it has to come, it will come at that time. You only have to get inside that bus, pay the ticket charges, and get down at which stop the bus is closer for you. Correct? So that is the service of transportation of passengers. But when you rent a motor vehicle, you're renting the own motor vehicle. You can sit, you can make others sit. How many ever people, which is legally permitted, that many people you can sit. You can make how many ever trips you want.
Sir, can you explain this line in Hindi?
तो रेंटिंग ऑफ मोटर व्हीकल में क्या होता है, जब आप भाड़े पे लेते हो, पूरी गाड़ी को आप भाड़े पे लेते हो कि मुझे 8 घंटे के लिए चाहिए, 10 घंटे के लिए चाहिए, तब आप किधर भी जा सकते हो. करेक्ट? आपको इधर से मामी के घर जाना है, वहां से नानी के घर जाना है, वहां से आप घर को जाना है, आप कर सकते हो. लेकिन सेकेंड सर्विस में जब ट्रांसपोर्टेशन ऑफ पैसेंजर सर्विस होता है, तब आपको उस रूट के ऊपर और उस टाइम के ऊपर कंट्रोल नहीं होता है. तो आपको जो रूट चल रहा है उसमें बैठना है, फिर आपको जहां पे वो छोड़ेगा वहां पे उतरना है. तो फर्क है ना दोनों में. फर्स्ट में आपने पूरी गाड़ी को रेंट में ले लिया, सेकेंड में आप गाड़ी को रेंट में नहीं ले रहे हो, गाड़ी तो सेम उसी तरह यूज कर रहे हो, लेकिन इसमें प्री डिटर्मिन्ड रूट रहता, आप कुछ भी नहीं कर सकते हो. सो सेकेंड वाला है ट्रांसपोर्टेशन ऑफ पैसेंजर्स, जो रिवर्स चार्ज में है या नहीं है?
सर सेकंड वाला रिवर्स चार्ज में नहीं है.
हाँ, सेकेंड वाला रिवर्स चार्ज पे नहीं है, फर्स्ट वाले के ऊपर रिवर्स चार्ज अप्लीकेबल हो.
यस, थैंक यू सर. आगे सर.
Correct, Tejaswini. If reverse charge doesn't come, what will come? Of course, forward charge will come. Unless it is exempted, either the receiver has to pay. If the receiver is not liable, then service provider will have to pay. Yes, Avinash.
जो सेकेंड केस है जिसमें हम अगर सर्विस है, तो अगर कोई बॉडी का कॉर्पोरेट को ही अगर सर्विस प्रोवाइड कर रहा है तो आरटीएम लगेगा, या कोई नॉर्मल पर्सन में भी आरटीएम लगेगा अगर वो व्हीकल को बुक कर रहा है तो?
समझ में नहीं आपका क्वेश्चन, ठीक से बोलिए.
मतलब एक पर्सन अगर जो व्हीकल बुक कर रहा है, तो अगर वो बॉडी कॉर्पोरेट है तो आरटीएम लगेगा, या हर केस में आरटीएम लगेगा?
नहीं, वो सेम क्राइटेरिया है. जो बॉडी कॉर्पोरेट है उसी को ही आरसीएम रखेगा, दूसरे केसेस में आरसीएम नहीं लगेगा. सर्विस रिसीवर जो है वो बॉडी कॉर्पोरेट रहेगा, तभी आरसीएम रहेगा, वरना फिर सब फॉरवर्ड चार्ज में ही है. ओके. Next, proceed with the next clarification, which is remuneration to director. I think we have discussed this for somebody's question, but let's explain this again. When you give remuneration to director, क्या remuneration to director is liable to GST or no? Transportation of passengers comes under Schedule 3. Tejaswin, where did you get this? Service by employee, funeral, land, actionable claim. I have the latest GST book. In this, I don't see what you are saying that transportation of passengers comes under Schedule 3. It doesn't come. liable to pay GST by the company. So service by the no applies to TDS. Yes, it is liable to GST. Sir, can company claim ITC on remuneration of directors? Somebody is saying no, company will claim ITC on remuneration of directors. Can company claim? Okay, first is whether GST will come. Director services are professional fees, so payable under GST. Okay, so there are two types of directors. One director who takes the salary, and another type of directors, they will not take the salary. How do we decide who will take the salary and who will not take? So if they do not take salary, I'm not saying that they will work for free. I'm saying few class of directors take salary and few class of directors takes another remuneration which is called as professional fees. So there are two things. Exclusive director, not exclusive director, Shruti. Executive director. It's not exclusive, executive. Executive director are also called as whole-time director or one category, and non-executive director or they are also called as independent directors. They are the ones who take professional fees. So the executive directors or whole-time directors take salaries because they are employees of the company. Do they work? Do they then open the shutter, sir? Directors? No, they will not do all that work, but they are fully involved into the business. That's why they are called as whole-time directors. Okay, you pay remuneration to them or you pay salary and bonuses to them. And second type of directors are non-executive directors who take professional consultancy fees from the company, on which they will bill to the company as a professional and collect the amount. So we understood two type of directors. So for the first type of directors who's taking salary, why GST will not come, or if GST comes, why it will come? हमने supply definition पढ़ लिया है, we have understood it clearly. So this is connecting that chapter with this. Correct, Sanya. First one is under Schedule 3. In Schedule 3, we have seen that any kind of services by the employee to the employer is in Schedule 3, which is no supply. मतलब Schedule 3 में आ गया तो फिर उसके ऊपर GST नहीं लगा because it is not a supply. Independent takes professional fees and whole-time directors take salary. Correct, Tejaswin. Exclusive director, okay, that we have discussed. Correct. Under supply salary is exempt. That is Schedule 3, salary is exempted. So if the director takes salary, no GST. And if the director takes professional fees, then GST will apply. Now, how many directors will register? We don't know. How many will pay GST? We don't know. That is the reason director services provided by the director will be liable to reverse charge other than salary. Now, how do you decide that whether it is a professional fees or a salary? Sir, books of accounts. Fine. Books of accounts may be paying they don't want to pay reverse charge, so they will show even a employee who is getting professional fees under salary. So how do you know that? The determining factor is whether there is another parallel law called income tax law. In income tax law, what they are treating, that will also be relevant. So to check employee relationship, you check whether the TDS is deducted under section 192. Because income tax, the deduction for salary under 192 is deducted only if it is a salary. So if you are giving a salary payment, then you will deduct under 192. If you are deducting under 194J, then it will mean that you are providing professional fees, and then your liability will be accordingly taxed under reverse charge. So professional fees liable to GST under reverse charge. Why? Because if he's a professional, he's not an employee, then on that professional fees, the company will pay the reverse charge mechanism. On salary, GST will not be levied because it comes under Schedule 3. Then salary is given to director if it is related to employer and employee relationship. Okay. Will you please suggest some book for GST because didn't get book? Okay. Board of Studies, if you have not got Garima, you can use it online also. Even online in the Board of Studies portal, you can download the study material.
Sir?
Yes.
Sir, in relation to previous notification of a service of a transportation of passengers. Sir, in that, in page 2.68, in the notification, it is written that carrying of goods or passengers or both comes under Schedule 3.
2.68.
Yes, sir, of the book. Sir, in the circular, IGST circular number. Sir, 7/7/2017 dated and 1/1/2017 number, circular number.
I'm not able to see because I have version of charge under 3.15.
No, sir, in Schedule 3, we have seen that if certain goods and certain services are exempted. And sir, in that, the non-supply is clarified by the way of circulars. In that, it is written that carrying of goods or passengers or both are for interstate movement of various good modes of conveniences. There it is written that they are exempted. That's why I was asking, sir.
But the reference what you are using is incorrect because the charge of GST itself is chapter 3. So in chapter 3, which point are you referring?
Sir, for the service of transportation of passengers, you said that RCM will not apply.
Correct.
So, sir, FCM will apply.
Correct.
FCM will apply only when it is a supply.
Correct.
And sir, if in Schedule 3 it is said that it is not a supply, then why FCM will apply?
I'm not able to get where are you saying in Schedule 3 it is not apply.
Sir, in the circular, the notifications or the circulars which come on their carrying of goods or passengers or both. Point A is written.
Point A.
Yes, sir. Interstate movement of various modes of convenience between distinct person in that.
It is various modes of conveyance. It is not the service itself. So I'll tell you what you're trying to say. Now I understood. Not very Let me share that screen so that you will understand this. In supply, we have read that, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. In supply.
Non-supplies, which is clarified by way of circulars.
Yes, sir.
So this is the para which you are referring to.
Yes, sir.
Non-supplies, there are three types of non-supplies. One is which is coming under CDP, one is which is notified, and third one is by circular. So circular has clarified that interstate movement of various modes of conveyance between distinct persons, including trains, buses, trucks, tankers, trailers, vessels, containers, aircrafts carrying goods or passengers, are both for repair and maintenance, shall be treated neither as a supply of goods or supply of services, and therefore not liable to IGST. Which means if you are moving a aircraft, you are moving here, it also includes carrying goods or passengers for repair. So it could be an aircraft, vessel, container. They have not said vehicle. Firstly, they have said only
Okay,
these
sir.
things. If you're using a bus to transport passengers, so passenger transport service, that ticket charges what you collect is leviable, but the conveyance, the bus, which is the mode of conveyance,
Yes,
bus
sir.
is a movable thing. So since the bus has moved from one state to another state, can you say on that bus there is a supply?
No.
Inside the bus there is a supply, but the bus moving from one place to another place is not a supply because it is the modes of conveyance.
Okay, sir.
So, or take the other example of tankers. There is an oil tanker in which you
Yes,
fill
sir.
the oil and transport it.
Yes, sir.
So the oil is taxable because that's a good, but the tanker is the mode for which the goods are getting transported. So that tanker is a mode of conveyance, it will not be taxable.
Okay, sir.
That is what the circular is trying to say, not saying that any transportation of passengers will be outside the GST. That is not what the circular is trying to say.
Okay, sir. Okay. Okay, sir. Got it. Sorry, sir.
You're clear, no? I just wanted to clarify. Very good connected doubt, but there is a distinction. (194I) and charging under RCM is not double taxation. No, Sanatan. What is taxed under income tax is on the income, and what is taxed under the GST is on the supply. So under 194J, what you will get, you will raise a professional fees for 1 lakh rupees. Who? The director. Okay. So director has to get 1 lakh rupees. He is raised a bill of 1 lakh rupees. How much will he get? He will get only 90,000. 10,000 will be the TDS deducted. So is it a loss? You tell me, you have read income tax. So is the TDS deducted a taxation? And on that, what the company pays? Reverse charge, because we know 194I also will come and RCM also will come. So RCM, will they collect from him? The company will pay how much? In say, take this example. Let's share a Excel sheet so that we are clear. Because if your basics are not clear, then you will get lost somewhere. That's why I'm spending more time on this. So director will raise professional fees for 1 lakh rupees. Now, TDS under section 194J. How much will be the TDS? 10%. So 1 lakh, they're deducting 10%. Now in this, I am saying 194J also will apply, and I'm saying GST also will apply. How much will be the GST? On services, it is 18%. So this is the values what I'm giving. Now you tell me what will be the flow of money in all directions. How much will the company pay to the director? How much the company will pay to the income tax authorities? How much the company will pay to the GST authorities? And what is the impact to the director? Correct, Tejaswin. TDS is in the act of a type of advance tax which will be credited in future when we pay taxes on this salary. Very true. Bhavna, if you can raise your hand and help me to mention what amount is where, that will be helpful. So that you will also understand. Everybody also will understand this. Yes, Bhavna. Tanu, yes, can you see this example? You understood the scenario?
सर एक्यूरेटली नहीं, मतलब मुझे ये समझ आया कि 1 लाख इसमें प्रोफेशनल फीस है एंड 10,000 टीडीएस डिडक्ट हुआ है एंड सर इसमें से दोनों में से एक ही तो केस होगा, या तो टीडीएस पे करेंगे या जीएसटी।
आपका क्वेश्चन समझ गया मैं। अब आप मेरा क्वेश्चन समझने की कोशिश कीजिए। डायरेक्टर को 1 लाख रुपए आपको देना है डायरेक्टर सिटिंग फीस, करेक्ट?
यस।
आप एंट्री क्या पास करेंगे डायरेक्टर फीस के लिए?
सर डायरेक्टर फीस अकाउंट डेबिट टू बैंक अकाउंट।
डायरेक्टर फीस अकाउंट डेबिट 1 लाख रुपया।
यस सर।
तो बैंक अकाउंट सीधा, तो फिर मतलब टीडीएस आप गिटक रहे हो?
नहीं सर, टीडीएस भी डिडक्ट करेंगे, फिर टीडीएस डेबिट होगा।
टीडीएस डेबिट नहीं होगा, टीडीएस क्रेडिट होगा मैडम। ऑलरेडी आपने एक्सपेंस बुक कर लिया 1 लाख का, आप और 10,000 डेबिट करेंगे तो फिर आपके हाथ से नुकसान हो रहा है। सो टीडीएस का मतलब क्या है? टैक्स डिडक्टेड एट सोर्स। आपको जो पेमेंट करना है डायरेक्टर को, उसमें से टीडीएस डिडक्ट करना है। नाम ही बोल रहा है टैक्स डिडक्टेड एट सोर्स, आपको उतना अमाउंट डिडक्ट करना है, ठीक है? तो आप बैंक में पूरा 1 लाख रुपए मत डालिए, देयर इज समथिंग कॉल्ड एज अ टीडीएस जिसको आपको क्रेडिट करना है, ठीक है?
ओके सर।
टू टीडीएस अंडर सेक्शन 194J कितना है?
10,000।
1 लाख पे 10% 10,000 है, और बैंक में जाएगा 1 लाख में से आपने 10,000 डिडक्ट किया है, 90,000 जा रहा है। तो 1 लाख रुपए का जो फीस है वो 10,000 आपने गवर्नमेंट को दिया है, और डायरेक्टर के बैंक में आप 90,000 डाल रहे हो,
90,000।
ठीक है? तो इसमें से कुछ नुकसान नहीं है आपका?
नो सर।
Because you are not paying any extra tax, you are paying 10,000 what you have to pay to the director, and
yes sir,
you are not paying to him 1 lakh in his bank account and paying extra 10,000, then it is a loss. The government did not tell you to make any loss, they are only telling you to deduct tax from the payment what you have to make it. Clear?
yes sir, yes sir।
Now, on this aspect you have deducted TDS. Second is GST. Now
Yes, sir.
GST under directors professional fees will be under forward charge or reverse charge?
Sir, reverse charge.
You are asking me or you are telling me?
Sir, telling.
Sure, no? So GST will be under RCM. So this 18,000 company will have to pay to the government. So this is a cost because they will have to pay to the government. But
Yes.
they will get a input tax credit also of this 18,000. Because once they pay this, they will get the credit also. So ये तो हो गया output, फिर ये हो गया input. तो यहाँ पर भी effect 0 है. Okay. But your question is, on one transaction, how can you have two type of taxes? You can have, because this is tax deducted at source and this is GST.
Yes, sir.
It is possible. So GST will be payable on the same base value. On the same value, TDS can also be deducted. No problem with it.
Okay, sir. Sir, on same time, both are deducted. TDS and GST both.
Yes, yes. Both.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So any kind of query like this you have to go back to your basics. Your basic accounting golden rules of principle is called golden rules because that is the base to understand any transaction. Somebody is giving me a entry director fees account 1 lakh by TDS 10,000 by bank account. How can it be by TDS by bank account? Very bad. So your basic accounting is not correct. If your basic accounting debit and credit is correct, then all the things what we discuss can be decided and can be resolved. So you should have good knowledge what you have already read in your BCom, in your foundation, that accounting, if it is strong, when passing any entry, you will understand the scenario. Yes, Balaji.
Sir, whole purpose of GST is to remove double taxation. And in this case,
where is it mentioned that that is the objective?
But one of the objective is to remove the hurdles and all these things.
No, nothing of that sort. That is the illusion what you have, or many people have. Not, I'm not pointing at you. Many people have the illusion that double taxation is gone. One nation, one tax. Nothing like that. One nation, 100 taxes are there here. On one transaction, you will pay CGST also, you will pay SGST also. If you make interstate, you will pay IGST also. So there is no question of one nation, one tax. It was only a marketing stint by the government. They said one nation, one tax to tell that whatever different taxes we were paying VAT, we were paying excise duty, we were paying entertainment tax, all of that is coming together now in the name of GST. That was the only idea which was misunderstood by many people. So that is how this transaction works. Two taxation are going in parallel, but actually speaking, TDS is only the, also there is a circular which says that TDS is not in the nature of tax. Because TDS, when you read valuation, you'll come to know that the circular says that TDS is not a tax. It's only a advance payment for the other person. Now, if this director has a getting in his bank account 90,000, what will he file in his income tax returns? What is his income for IT returns purposes? That you tell me. I'm getting confused. Am I taking income tax today or GST class today?
Sir, it will be 1 lakh for the purpose of income tax returns.
Okay. Deepak is saying 1 lakh. Is anybody having any other view? But he received in his bank only 90,000. Yes, Tannu Vishwakarma.
Yes, sir. 1 lakh is correct.
Okay. But he got in his in bank 90,000. So 10,000 rupees extra you are adding. See, Tambeshwari is saying it is 90,000 only.
सर क्योंकि उसमें जब इनकम टैक्स का रिटर्न फाइल करते हैं तो उसमें एडवांस टैक्स जो पेमेंट हुआ है उसको भी तो शो करते हैं.
So the person who has paid to him has already paid this amount to income tax on his behalf. Later on, he can claim it from the income tax department.
Correct. Exactly right. So basically, his income is 1 lakh only. That 10,000, instead of paying it to him, they have paid it to government's account, which he can claim it. So there is no double taxation. There is only compliance is double, that you have to deduct the TDS, file the TDS returns, that amount should go to his 26 AS, all of those things are there. And in GST, they have to pay RCM, disclose it in his GSTR-3B and claim the credit. So that is what is a requirement, but there is in spirit, in actuality, there is no double taxation. So what the law now clarifies is that if this director is being paid TDS under 194J, even if you call this as salary, okay, the GST says that on this you pay 18,000 Baba because it is called salary, but it is like calling a goat as a sheep. If you call a goat as a sheep, will it become sheep? The goat will remain as goat. Similarly, if you call a professional fees as salary and deduct TDS under 194J, boys, you have deducted under 194J, which is evident because if you deduct under 192 for a professional fees, director will not sit. Directors IT returns will not accept. Correct? So 194J will be the criteria to decide that it is liable to GST under RCM. And for the same director, if you are paying salary and it is actually salary also, okay, it is salary and you are deducting TDS under section 192, same 1 lakh, and say TDS also is, we know that TDS will have to be deducted as per actual calculation, but you say that also is coming out to 10,000 rupees on a rough calculation. Then he will be getting balance amount as 90,000, but GST RCM will be 0 because it is covered under Schedule 3. That is what the circular is saying. Yes, Bhavna.
Sir, in the above scenario, you are saying directors liable for the reverse charge. But the reverse charge pay by the company.
Correct.
Sir, in case of reverse charge, director liable to pay, na?
Who is liable to pay? Again, go to the basics. Who is the service provider? Who is the service receiver?
Service provider is the director.
Director.
Okay, sir. Clear.
These tips, what I've given you, that you have to use Not only for your exams, even after exams you have to use. So you remember those things, your practice, your studies, both will become simple.
So, sir, director income is 1 lakh या 90,000?
आप बताइए मैडम, आपको क्या लगता है?
सर 90,000,
क्यों 90,000 होगा?
क्योंकि सर TDS माइनस हुआ है ना.
तो TDS कहाँ पे जाएगा?
TDS गवर्नमेंट के पास.
गवर्नमेंट क्या करेगा उसका? आपने इनकम टैक्स नहीं पढ़ा है ठीक से. यू हैव टू गो एंड रीड इनकम टैक्स. आई कैन नॉट टीच यू इनकम टैक्स. TDS जो डिडक्ट होता है वो टैक्स नहीं है, उसका नाम है टैक्स डिडक्टेड एट सोर्स. दैट इज नॉट कॉल्ड एज इनकम टैक्स. तो उसको क्यों नहीं कहा गया कि इनकम टैक्स डिडक्ट कीजिए और TDS डिडक्ट करके क्यों कहा है? क्योंकि वो TDS जो है इट इज ओनली अ प्रोविजन कि ये बंदा कल के दिन भाग जाए तो गवर्नमेंट को एटलीस्ट टैक्स मिला है. अगर वो नहीं भाग रहा है तो फिर वो जब इनकम टैक्स फाइल करेगा तब हम उसको रिफंड दे देंगे या फिर जो भी उसका टैक्स पेएबल है उसमें से एडजस्ट कर लेंगे. ठीक है, तो TDS टैक्स नहीं है. TDS गवर्नमेंट को जा रहा है, लेकिन जा रहा है डायरेक्टर के खाते से ही. ठीक है.
यस यस सर. तो उसकी इनकम सर 1 लाख होगी क्योंकि वो उससे रिफंड कर सकता है 10,000.
दैट इज नॉट द क्राइटेरिया. उसकी इनकम कितनी है? इनकम 1 लाख ही है. जब मैंने एक्सपेंस यहाँ पे 1 लाख बताया है तो करेस्पॉन्डिंग इनकम डायरेक्टर की कितनी होगी?
1 लाख.
1 लाख ही होगी. आप एक्सपेंस 1 का बताओगे और मैं इनकम 90 का बताऊंगा, ऐसा हो सकता है?
नहीं सर.
मैचिंग कॉन्सेप्ट के हिसाब से व्हाट इज योर एक्सपेंस इज माय इनकम.
Oh, okay, sir. Got it. Understand, sir.
So remuneration directors, we are clear. Next, proceeding further. These are important pointers. I'll share it with you on reverse charge, what you have discussed. Nothing much to rely on this. Now, coming to section 9, subsection 5. 9.5 says, what is the GST on a e-commerce? On an e-commerce transaction, what is the GST which is payable? The GST payable on e-commerce is very simple. On e-commerce transaction will be paid by the e-commerce company. Now there are two types of models which runs in e-commerce. One is called as marketplace model. One is called as stock-based model. In stock-based model, what will I do? I will buy the goods and I will sell it. So there are no third party involved. I am buying it and I'm selling it. तो उसमें क्या हो गया? That may not be called as a e-commerce because e-commerce by definition means a person who uses information technology and connects the seller and the buyer. So that model is called as familiarly, what is formally used and most commonly used is a marketplace model. What happens in a marketplace model? There is an e-commerce operator. For easy understanding, let's use some names. E-commerce will be a Uber. Sorry. Uber will be a little half stretch. So we'll use Amazon. So Amazon is a e-commerce. Now on Amazon, a supplier is there like Appario, which is a famous company which is there on Amazon, which sells a lot of electronic products. So Appario is a company who is listing its products on Amazon and it is displaying. So supplier lists its product on the e-commerce portal and the customer will like it, go to the e-commerce operator and select this product and place an order. Now order, can he place on Appario? No, he will place on the e-commerce app or e-commerce portal itself. He will place the order. Once he places the order, he will make the payment. This payment, first he'll make the payment to the e-commerce operator. This e-commerce operator will place the order and they will deliver it to the customer. Now, when they make this payment, they will reduce their commission, correct, and pay it to the supplier. So customer pays the full value of 100 rupees. If they 100 is the product, उसमें से they will deduct commission of say 10 rupees and pay the balance to the supplier. So that is how the marketplace model generally works. So if this is the scenario, then it is a transaction where e-commerce is getting operated and e-commerce will pay the GST. Now, whether on all e-commerce it will pay? No, because only on specified list it will be paying, not on all the e-commerce model, because there are various e-com platforms. E-commerce companies can sell goods, e-commerce companies can provide services. So will all the e-commerce operations come under GST? No. We have a next slide. We'll say where it is notified saying specified services only will come. That will be liable to GST by the e-commerce operator. Bhavna, what is your question?
सर आपकी वॉइस बीच बीच में ब्रेक हो रही है, फिर समझ नहीं आ पाता.
ठीक है. ओके, क्या हो रहा है मार्केट प्लेस में? ई कॉमर्स एक कंपनी है, जैसे मैंने एग्जांपल में दिया, अमेजॉन हो गया जो गुड्स का मार्केट प्लेस है. अब ई कॉमर्स मार्केट प्लेस जो है वेरियस सप्लायर्स के प्रोडक्ट डिस्प्ले करेगा. सप्लायर्स को ये चाहिए कि मेरे प्रोडक्ट अमेजॉन पे डिस्प्ले हो ताकि कस्टमर देख सके. अब कस्टमर देख के ऑर्डर प्लेस करता है, फिर वो ऑर्डर जो है कम्युनिकेट करता है ई कॉमर्स ऑपरेटर सप्लायर को, और सप्लायर फिर सप्लाई करेगा कस्टमर को. पेमेंट कस्टमर क्या करेगा? ई कॉमर्स को ऑलरेडी दे देगा. ई कॉमर्स जब डिलीवरी हो जाए तब अपना कमीशन निकाल के बैलेंस अमाउंट सप्लायर को दे देगा. तो हमारा ये क्वेश्चन है यहाँ पे कि क्या सभी ई कॉमर्स कंपनीज को जीएसटी पे करना पड़ेगा? नहीं, सिर्फ स्पेसिफाइड ई कॉमर्स कंपनी को ही जीएसटी पे करना पड़ेगा जिसका आरसीएम में नोटिफाइड है. अब ये नोटिफिकेशन किस किस के ऊपर रिवर्स चार्ज पे करना बोल रहा है? फर्स्ट बोल रहा है कि ऑन ट्रांसपोर्टेशन ऑफ पैसेंजर्स बाय अ रोड, बाय अ रेडियो टैक्सी, ट्रांसपोर्टेशन ऑफ पैसेंजर्स बाय अ रेडियो टैक्सी, मोटर कैब, मैक्सी कैब, मोटरसाइकिल, ऑमनीबस और एनी अदर मोटर व्हीकल. जो भी आप व्हीकल यूज करने के लिए ई कॉमर्स यूज करते हो, then in that case the GST will be paid by the e-commerce operator. Uber, Ola, जो भी आप यूज कर रहे हो, सप्लायर ऑफ सर्विस कौन है? कोई भी हो सकता है. जनरली कौन होगा? ड्राइवर होगा. अब वो कुछ भी हो सकता है, वो इंडिविजुअल, प्रोप्राइटर, पार्टनरशिप फर्म, कुछ भी हो सकता है. उस केस में ई कॉमर्स कंपनी जीएसटी पे करेगा. सेकेंड, providing accommodation in hotels, inns, guest house, clubs, campsites or other commercial places meant for residential or lodging purposes. जब वहां पे भी अगर आप, एग्जाम्पल क्या हो सकता है, जैसे हो सकता है कि आप मेक माई ट्रिप में कुछ होटल रूम बुक कर रहे हो, कुछ क्लब गेस्ट हाउस बुक कर रहे हो, ठीक है, तो प्रोवाइडर will be any individual, again any person except who is liable for registration under 22(1). अगर उसका registration liability है और उसने registration ले लिया है तब ई कॉमर्स पे नहीं करेगा. लेकिन वो registered नहीं है, फर्स्ट इज registered नहीं है और registration के लिए liable भी नहीं है, मतलब उसका threshold limit ही जो हमने 20 lakhs और 10 lakhs का कैटेगरी बताया उसके नीचे ही उसका टर्नओवर है, तब उस केस में कौन जीएसटी पे करेगा? ई कॉमर्स पे करेगा. थर्ड कैटेगरी, सर्विसेज बाय वे ऑफ हाउसकीपिंग सच एज प्लम्बिंग, कारपेंटरिंग एक्सेट्रा. सच एज मतलब कुछ भी हाउसकीपिंग सर्विसेज प्रोवाइडर है, देन इफ द प्रोवाइडर इज लायबल टू रजिस्ट्रेशन, वो पे करेगा. अगर वो लायबल नहीं है तो फिर सप्लायर ऑफ सर्विस विल बी, और देन ई कॉमर्स कंपनी विल बी लायबल टू पे जीएसटी. थर्ड इज सप्लाई ऑफ रेस्टोरेंट सर्विसेज. जो रेस्टोरेंट सर्विस ई कॉमर्स को यूज करता है तो फिर ई कॉमर्स कंपनी को पे करना पड़ेगा, एक्सेप्ट any person except services supplied by a restaurant eating joint located at a specified premises. ये क्या specified premises है? Specified premises means any premises providing hotel accommodation service having declared tariff of any unit above 7,500 per unit per day. Then if it is a restaurant which has a hotel kind of hotel with a accommodation, मतलब lodging भी साथ में है कुछ restaurant में, so it's a lodging cum restaurant and the lodging charges are 7,500 and above, then it's a big place, so their e-commerce company will take the goods and supply it to the customer, but they will not pay the GST, that hotel itself will pay it. There'll be a lot of restaurants which are vast restaurants, there everything, if you're supplying it through e-commerce company, then e-commerce will pay. But if it is a like a hotel which is a 5-star hotel or a 3-star hotel, anything where there is a stay and the food of that is very nice and they provide services through e-commerce, then if their stay charges are 7,499 or anything below that, up to 7,499, if their hotel charges is that, then for them also e-commerce company will pay the GST. But if there any even one room, okay, even if one room is 7,500, all other rooms are less than 7,500, even then they will qualify as a big restaurant service provider and they with themselves will pay the GST. E-commerce operator will not pay it. Tariff means a fixed tariff. What is the fixed rate for a hotel? Because a hotel may have a tariff of 7,500, but they give discount of 500. So then it becomes less than 7,500. So that's why they have said where the declared tariff, मतलब जो price list है, every hotel should have a declared tariff because they will have to declare that this is my price. So if that declared tariff is at above 7,500 and above, and even if they are giving discount, still they will be out of this e-commerce because their declared tariff is that actual they may be collecting more or less. Clear on GST on e-commerce operator?
सर इसका मतलब अगर पर्सन रजिस्टर्ड है तो उसे ही जीएसटी पे करना पड़ेगा, लेकिन अगर रजिस्टर्ड नहीं है तो ई कॉमर्स को ही पे करना पड़ेगा जीएसटी.
आपका सेंटेंस 90% करेक्ट है, 100% नहीं है, क्योंकि अगर कैब वाला है और वो रजिस्टर्ड है, ठीक है, फिर भी उसका लायबिलिटी तो ई कॉमर्स का ही पे करना पड़ेगा क्योंकि यहाँ पे एनी पर्सन लिखा है.
ओके सर.
और सिर्फ इन दो केसेस में, जैसे होटल्स इन्स है और हाउसकीपिंग है, इन दोनों केसेस में ही अगर सर्विस प्रोवाइडर रजिस्टर्ड है तो वो पे करेगा, वरना फिर ई कॉमर्स कंपनी पे करेगी. सो फर्स्ट और लास्ट केसेस में अगर वो रजिस्टर्ड भी हो फिर भी जीएसटी उनका ई कॉमर्स कंपनी ही पे करेगी.
Hello, sir.
Yes, Dilip.
Sir, in these cases, if the GST is not paid by e-commerce operators, then it is paid by service providers. Yes, sir. I'm not sure.
Wrong, sir. When in this case of radio cab, motor cab, Uber, Ola, and all,
Not except first case, sir. Remaining three cases.
remaining two cases, I will say. Third case, last case also is little different. In these two cases, always e-commerce company only have to pay. Unless you tell you are registered. If you tell you are registered and you are having your own hotel, then you pay. One of them has to pay. They cannot say that no, e-commerce company is not paying, so I will pay. That is not the case. E-commerce company will note that person is registered, he's given me.
Sir, your voice is low, sir. You are not
So
audible.
tell that the e-commerce company will tell that if the hotel person is registered, they will collect that registration number and keep it with them. Okay.
Sir, you are not audible. Sir.
1 minute. Okay, voice clear now, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if the e-commerce operator collects the details from the hotel company, and if they know that it is registered, then they will not collect a GST. Then the hotel company itself will collect the GST.
Okay. Sir,
Yes.
if an e-commerce operator is providing goods as Amazon is providing Amazon, Alexa वगैरह, तो उसमें क्या आप फॉरवर्ड चार्ज मैकेनिज्म लगेगा?
हाँ, फॉरवर्ड चार्ज लगे. करेक्ट.
तो जो होटल वाली है, जो रजिस्टर है, वो कैसे कलेक्ट करेगा जीएसटी अगर ई कॉमर्स ऑपरेटर के थ्रू वो सर्विस प्रोवाइड कर रहा है तो?
आपका
बिल में
क्वेश्चन
डालेगा क्या?
हाँ, बिल आप जब
जैसे
ई कॉमर्स कभी अमेजोन से कुछ खरीदते हो, मीशो से कुछ खरीदते हो, फ्लिपकार्ट से कुछ खरीदते हो, तब आपके पास जो डिलीवरी आता है उसके साथ इनवॉइस भी मिलता है. तो आप
जो
इनवॉइस में
सर्विस
देख के जीएसटी भी चार्ज किया होता है.
सर जो प्रोवाइडर कर रहा है गुड्स वो भी इसमें डालता है क्या? जीएसटी चार्ज करता है वो?
हाँ, सर्विस प्रोवाइडर चार्ज करता है ना.
तो ई कॉमर्स ऑपरेटर अलग से करेगा और जो प्रोवाइड कर रहा है वो अलग से करेगा
ई कॉमर्स
रजिस्टर है
ऑपरेटर
तो?
ई कॉमर्स ऑपरेटर का लायबिलिटी है क्या चार्ज करने का?
नो सर, अगर रजिस्टर
चारों
है
का
तो
भी
वो
तो
करे,
मुझे नहीं दिख रहा है.
मतलब अगर वो पर्सन रजिस्टर्ड है तो वो बिल इशू करेगा और जो ई कॉमर्स ऑपरेटर है कलेक्ट करके उससे जो रजिस्टर्ड पर्सन को सप्लाई करेगा.
करेक्ट करेक्ट. वो सिर्फ पास ऑन करेगा, एक हाथ से लेके एक और हाथ से दे देगा बस.
ओके, क्लियर सर.
ठीक है, विल टेक अ ब्रेक और 4 o'clock आ जाते हैं. ई कॉमर्स कंपनी का समझने के बाद लेट्स गेट इनटू द प्रैक्टिकलिटीज ऑफ द नेक्स्ट एस्पेक्ट्स. थोड़ा क्लैरिफिकेशन है, क्लैरिफिकेशन लेके देन विल मूव टू द नेक्स्ट एस्पेक्ट्स. So can we continue? Okay. So we were discussing on e-commerce operators, saying only on the specified e-commerce operator is the liability on the e-commerce to pay GST. So all of this mostly are services. So for goods, you see that on all transactions on e-commerce for goods will be paid by the supplier. And other than this, any services like policybazaar.com, where they are selling insurance through that online portal, that is not here. And many e-commerce operators also use gamings. They suggest gamings. That is also not covered here. So many other e-commerce are there which will not be covered under this 9.5. Only what is covered on that e-commerce operator will pay the GST. On everything else, the supplier themselves will pay it. Restaurant services, e-commerce not to collect TCS in respect of restaurant service so notified. What is TCS? TCS is tax collected at source. So e-commerce companies will not collect TCS because other e-commerce में TCS लगेगा. That will clarify when we read TDS and TCS provisions. Income tax में जैसे TDS and TCS है, GST also has provision for TDS and TCS. So when they have to pay GST, they will not again collect TCS on that transactions. E-commerce is not required to take separate registration. The e-commerce companies were already registered, and then they brought in this aspect because this was not there from the beginning. Okay, they brought in 2022 when they said that on restaurant service also this e-commerce companies will have to pay. So they got worried. Should we take a separate registration? The clarification says no. You don't have to take separate registration. In your own registration, you can do the filing. E-commerce companies to pay tax on any restaurant services supplied through them. Supply of restaurant service to be included in aggregate turnover of the person supplying restaurant services. So, ये किसका turnover होगा? Even though the e-commerce company pays, should be considered as the turnover of the restaurant company itself. Third point, e-commerce companies to pay tax on any restaurant services. Okay, so restaurant में whatever they're doing through this e-commerce company, on the whole value, they have to pay the GST. Restaurant services provided through e-commerce not to be considered as an inward supply. तो अगर e-commerce company tax pay कर रहा है, इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि it will become its inward supply. That is not the case. The inward supply will be for the ultimate customer who is buying the restaurant service, buying the food from the restaurant company. E-commerce company is only a conduit in between here, but it is not a person who is claiming that as an input tax credit. They cannot claim input credit on that. Reversal of proportionate ITC on input goods and services not required by the e-commerce operator. There is one rule called, when we read ITC, you will get to know Rule 42 and Rule 43. So should e-commerce companies do this reversal of the input tax credit? No, that is also not required. GST is to be paid by a supplier on services not notified under 9.5 but supplied through e-commerce. So what does it say? GST is to be paid by the supplier of service who is not notified under 9.5. As you had said, 9.5 ka jo list hai, only on that e-commerce company will pay. Other than that, the supplier will pay. E-commerce company to raise invoice in respect of restaurant services supplied through e-commerce. अगर आप खाना खाने जाते हो रेस्टोरेंट में, कल आपने जब ऑर्डर किया तब आपने देखा कि उसका पेमेंट ई-कॉमर्स कंपनी कर रहा है. आज जब आप वहां पर जाके बैठ के खा रहे हो, then you will see that when you are having a dining at that same restaurant, there is no mention of e-commerce because e-commerce is not involved. There the restaurant will directly charge you GST. Simple. So I would say this circular is a general knowledge circular. It is not giving you any updates. It is only somebody has created confusion and somebody is clarifying it. Or I would say mostly government themselves created the confusion and they themselves clarified it. It is only a general knowledge. If you see, when I'm reading it, you're thinking, am I teaching you something or I'm just reading a newsletter? Because there is no kind of any value addition in this circular. Billing in case of restaurant service and goods and services other than restaurant services being sold by a restaurant under the same order. So if they are selling something, some goods, then they will have to segregate between restaurant services and non-restaurant services. ठीक है, जैसे आप मैकडोनल्ड्स में जाओगे, you will buy a food and you will get a toy also. So toy का अगर आप चार्ज कर रहे हो, then that is not a restaurant service. उसके लिए अलग कैटेगरी करना पड़ेगा. That is what the circular is saying. If the e-commerce is located, very important. Till your general knowledge circular we understood, no problem with this. Now let's get into who has to register. E-commerce company जो है cloud में रहता है. They are generally on the cloud. They are not on the ground. You cannot find Uber. Swiggy and Zomato company. You will find Swiggy and Zomato T-shirt wearing people roaming on bikes here and there. But you will not find where that company is because it is all operate through technology. कहाँ पे बैंगलोर के कई एक कोने में उनका एक मेन हेड ऑफिस होगा, वो टेक्नोलॉजी डेवलप करते रहेंगे, हैविंग अ बैक एंड टीम, हैविंग अ रिसर्च एंड डेवलपमेंट टीम. कहीं ना कहीं स्मॉल पॉइंटर्स में वो लोगों को अपॉइंट करते रहेंगे. ओके, तो इट्स मींस दैट ई कॉमर्स कंपनी खोलने के लिए आपको फिजिकल प्रेजेंस की जरूरत नहीं है, आप कहाँ से भी ऑपरेट कर सकते हो. तो इन दैट केस जीएसटी तो आपने बोल दिया कि ई कॉमर्स कंपनी को पे करना है. तो इफ द ई कॉमर्स कंपनी इज इन यूएसए एंड ऑपरेटिंग फॉर द सप्लाई ऑफ गुड्स इन इंडिया, सप्लाई ऑफ रेस्टोरेंट सर्विसेज इन इंडिया, तो फिर हाउ विल दे पे? Will GST extend a branch and open up a GST office in USA? Or how will the liability be traced? What do you think? I'm not getting any response on the app. Are you not responding or I am not getting anything? Correct. Tejaswin, you have given a correct answer that yes. If the e-commerce company is located in a taxable territory, then the person liable to pay tax is the e-commerce operator, no problem. But if the e-commerce company does not have a physical presence in India, then the person who is liable to pay the tax is the person representing the e-commerce company. अगर उनका फिजिकल प्रेजेंस यहाँ पे है तो फिर ई-कॉमर्स कंपनी पे करेगा. अगर उनका फिजिकल प्रेजेंस नहीं है, then it is the person who is representing the e-commerce company. There will be one person who will represent it, then he will pay. If the e-company neither has physical presence nor does not have any representative, then the person liable to pay the tax is the person which is appointed by the e-commerce operator for the purpose of paying. They're saying, no, we don't have any person. We are operating only from China. So GST is saying, आप China से करो. You should have a person here. नहीं, China से मैं अगर आऊँगा तो लोग मुझे मारेंगे. ठीक है भाई. You appoint an Indian person. Any person you appoint, which is the person who is responsible for paying the tax. You need to have a person जिसको हम पकड़ सके. So appoint him, then we will collect GST from him. इंडिया में जो रजिस्ट्रेशन है वो ही पे करेंगे या किसी पर्सन? तो इंडिया में उसके जगह ही नहीं है ना, so they will take his residential address itself. अगर वो बोलते हैं कि नहीं हमारा ऑफिस ही नहीं है, we are operating everything on the cloud, we don't have an office in India, then they will tell okay appoint a person. Now that person has to be in India because ultimately physical किसी का कॉलर पकड़ने के लिए चाहिए एक बंदा, करेक्ट? तो वो बंदे का रेसिडेंस तो यहाँ पे रहेगा, सो गिव हिज रेसिडेंस एड्रेस देन. Nitin, your opinion or your feedback is right कि बार बार switch करना पड़ता है. So you make a suggestion to the board of studies saying that the question asking format on the Zoom was very much comfortable and the question reached the faculty also immediately. But after this shift, there is a lot of time lag. So you write a request based on your requests, not only on one person, how many requests they get. Basis that they may switch back to questioning on Zoom. I did not have any problem. The board of studies have decided that they will change the mode. That's why we are adhering by that. Okay, now let's proceed further. Classification of goods and services. How do you classify goods? How do you classify services? You will go based on customs tariff. After going to customs tariffs, you will see that customs tariff has chapter headings, chapter notes, section headings, section notes, and then clarification will come saying that this is the number, this is the description, this is the rate. Theoretical में बोलूंगा तो समझ में नहीं आएगा. So let's get into the one sample of a customs tariff. This is one of the customs tariff, because if you read the notes also, you will see that the tariff interpretation, क्योंकि HSN basis पे goods align किए हैं, and whatever is the HSN, उसके हिसाब से GST का rate रहेगा. So to decide the GST rate for a product, we need to know what is that HSN properly. Of course, in GST rate, they have given the HSN and description. But to understand the description much better, we have to go to interpretation. Now that interpretation, they're saying whatever is the interpretation used in customs, that is the interpretation which we will use for GST also. So that's why we are reading the customs tariff. Customs tariff will start with chapter number. So this is chapter number 4. What is the chapter referring to? It refers to the chapter heading. This is called as chapter heading. Chapter heading क्या बोलता है? This is for dairy produce, birds, eggs, natural honey, edible products, so and so. So it will give a broad insight कि जो भी dairy produce है, जो भी eggs है, जो भी edible products है, that will be coming under this. आपको first direction मिल गया है. Once you get in, then this is called as chapter notes. The chapter note says that the expression milk means full cream milk or partially or completely skimmed milk. मतलब chapter notes will tell the meaning of terms which can have a different interpretation. हर चीज का नहीं रहेगा, but wherever there is confusion, for that, when they have to give an explanation, that will be given in the chapter notes. The chapter notes here says, what do you understand by milk? When they say milk, उसका मतलब हो गया milk would mean different variety of milk. Full cream milk or partially or completely skimmed milk is also under the heading of milk itself. Then further, for the purpose of 0405, what is the description? So chapter note gives the definition of various terms. Then you have subheading notes. तो जहां पर 4 numbers होते हैं उसे कहते हैं heading. फिर if it is 6-digit codes, that is called as subheading. Okay. So subheading का भी clarification मिल जाएगा. Then comes the main tariff. the tariff starts with, then before tariff you have supplementary note. There they have to give some special reference to other acts that will be given in the supplementary note. Here when they say wildlife, wildlife means the wild animal as defined under the Wildlife Protection Act. That is given under the supplementary notes. Or FIR. Then comes the main tariff. The tariff first starts with 4 digit. The HSN code हमारे इंडिया में कितने digit तक use होता है? 8 digit. So they start with 4 digits saying that what is the main heading, tariff item, description, unit, rate of duty. This is the rate of customs duty. हमको rate of customs duty नहीं देखना है, हमको tariff item और description of goods देखना है. So this will be the tariff item and then the description. Then it will come down to the further subheadings. So main heading है उसका classification will come down. This is how the customs tariff has to be read. Next is, based on this interpretation, you will go to GST and you will see what is the description for GST. So for GST for goods, since we are discussing on goods, the GST notification will be notification number 1 of 2017, which reads that 1 of 2017 central tax rate in exercise of the powers conferred under section 9(1), because 9(1) में हमने पढ़ा था at the rate as may be specified. This is what is specified. Section 9 of the CGST Act, the central government on the recommendation of the rate of central tax. तो यहाँ पर भी इन्होंने रेट अलग अलग किया है 2.5%. उसके लिए दिस शेड्यूल 1, वहां पे शेड्यूल 1 है, दैट इज शेड्यूल 1, शेड्यूल 2, शेड्यूल 3 ऑफ द एक्ट. दिस इज शेड्यूल 1 to शेड्यूल 6 ऑफ द रेट notification. So don't get confused with that schedule and this schedule. This schedule is for the rate. So whatever description is mentioned in schedule 1, that is taxable at 2.5 plus 2.5, 5%. Then 6% के लिए अलग schedule, 18% के अलग schedule, 28%, then 3%, then 0.15%. Like that, they have schedules arranged here. Now, when they say 0303, we have to understand this HSN from the customs and see the description here. Okay. This is how you will read this for clarification, for identification of the rate. If there is any confusion in this clarification, then you will fall back to customs tariff notification. This is for goods. इसमें सभी goods के रहेंगे. And similarly, we have for services. Any doubts in this or in services? We have to learn the items and rates? No. आपको goods, definitely, very good question. Goods का classification, goods का rates is not applicable, but interpretation, how to interpret it, that portion is relevant. That's why I'm showing a practical scenario of what is mentioned theoretically in your study material. But classification, rate of goods is out of your intermediate syllabus. Okay, now let's get back to our presentation. Then there is service also has a similar classification. HSN is there for goods and SAC, service accounting code, is for services. Rate of services अलग-अलग rate नहीं है. Generally maximum services पे 18% है. Restaurant service वगैरह पे 5% and entertainment, gambling services के ऊपर highest 28% है, but major services rate will be 18%. The rate of service tax also, rate of services also will be given to you in the question. If they don't give anything, you can definitely assume that the rate for services is 18%. Now, what is the rate for real estate? Okay. The rate for real estate is simple, that it is either at 1% or 5%. With effect from 1st April 2019 for housing projects, the rate will be 1% or 5%. When it will be 1%? When it is a affordable housing project. जब भी affordable housing project रहेगा, तब rate क्या रहेगा? It will be at 1%. Ongoing affordable project, क्योंकि GST कब से आया? जुलाई 2017 से 17, 18, 19 के बाद इन्होंने नया रेट लेके आया, लेकिन प्रोजेक्ट्स तो एग्जिस्टिंग कंटिन्यू रहेंगे, तो फिर ऑनगोइंग अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग प्रोजेक्ट्स जो हैं उनके लिए भी रेट क्या होगा? 5% रहेगा इफ दे आर एग्जिस्टिंग अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग. द कंडीशंस आर कॉमन फॉर बोथ 1% and 5% that we'll learn, but पहले रेट समझ लेते हैं. If it is affordable housing, then 1%. If it is non-affordable housing, then it is 5%. Okay. Projects with commercial space less than 15%. It could be that commercial और housing दोनों combined है, but अगर combined है तो फिर commercial कितना होना चाहिए? 15%. मतलब 85% residential है, तो you are eligible to call it as a non-affordable housing. लेकिन commercial should be restricted to 15%. अगर commercial 15% के ज़्यादा है, then it will become a commercial project, not a residential project. And this rate is specifically for what? This is for housing projects. जब हम housing projects का करते हैं, तो फिर non-housing mix नहीं करेंगे. ठीक है? What are the conditions for such a low rate? क्योंकि earlier क्या rate था? 12% और 18% था. सीधा उसको धड़ाम से नीचे गिरा के 1% and 5% कर दिया गया है with the following additional conditions. Housing project is immovable property? नहीं है. Housing project is not a immovable property. हमने कितनी बार बोल दिया? Correct? Land is a immovable property. Schedule 3 में आप देखेंगे land subject to schedule para 5 of schedule 2 लिखा गया है. इसका मतलब housing project is not a immovable property because it is getting constructed. उसके ऊपर भी जीएसटी नहीं रहेगा तो फिर कैसे रहेगा? इट इज कंस्ट्रक्टेड और आप सर्विस दे रहे हो. यू आर टेकिंग ऑल द स्ट्रेस, ऑल द पेन एंड प्रोवाइडिंग अ गुड हाउस, सो इट इज अ सर्विस. ठीक है. व्हाट आर द कंडीशंस टू क्लेम सच अ लो रेट? फर्स्ट इज आईटीसी आपको मिलेगा ही नहीं. आईटीसी इज डिनाइड. जैसे रेस्टोरेंट सर्विस में इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट नहीं मिलता है, जीटीए सर्विस में 5% पे करने पे आईटीसी नहीं मिलता है, यहां पर भी दोनों रेट में आपको आईटीसी नहीं मिलेगा. सेकेंड कंडीशन इज 80%, वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, 80% ऑफ योर इनपुट्स एंड इनपुट सर्विसेज शुड बी प्रोक्योर्ड फ्रॉम रजिस्टर्ड पर्सन. आईटीसी नहीं मिलेगा तो फिर मेरे जैसा मारवाड़ी क्या करेगा? आई विल परचेज मोस्टली फ्रॉम अनरजिस्टर्ड पर्सन, क्योंकि अनरजिस्टर्ड पर्सन तो चार्ज नहीं करेगा, और मैं भी क्या करूंगा? जीएसटी पे नहीं करूंगा क्योंकि मेरे ऊपर कुछ लायबिलिटी नहीं है. करेक्ट? वी टोल्ड ओनली इफ इट इज अंडर 9(3) स्पेसिफाइड सर्विसेज देन इट इज अंडर आरसीएम. तो फिर मैं अनरजिस्टर्ड परचेज से परचेज करके जीएसटी बचा लूंगा और मेरा आउटपुट तो 5% या 1% ही रहेगा. तो इसलिए गवर्नमेंट ने देखा कि ये लोग जो है हाउसिंग वाले पूरा परचेजेस अनरजिस्टर्ड से कर लेंगे और हमारी टैक्स की चोरी कर लेंगे. तो क्या करते हैं? इसमें कंडीशन डालते हैं. व्हाट विल बी दैट कंडीशन? सेज दैट 80% ऑफ द इनपुट्स और इनपुट सर्विसेज, ओके, 80% ऑफ द इनपुट्स और इनपुट सर्विसेज शुड बी प्रोक्योर्ड फ्रॉम रजिस्टर्ड पर्सन. आप चोरी कर लोगे, इसीलिए हम ब्लॉक डाल रहे हैं कि आप 80% के जो आपके इनपुट और इनपुट सर्विसेज है वो आप रजिस्टर्ड पर्सन से ही लोगे. ठीक है? मेरा परचेज टोटली है 100. ठीक है? उसमें से 80% if I am buying from registered, ये स्मार्ट पेन थोड़ा ज्यादा ही स्मार्ट, if 80% if I am buying from registered person and 20 from unregistered, so condition satisfied, you do not have to pay any GST on the balance. मैडम आवाज नहीं आ रही है?
Yes, sir.
ओके, जब भी मैं लिख रहा हूं तब प्रॉब्लम हो रही है। मैं दूर से लिखता हूं, थोड़ा सिस्टम बोल रहा है मुझे दूर से, ठीक है?
Okay, sir.
तो ये बात समझ गए आप? व्हेन यू सेल समथिंग परसेंटेज बेसिस में, सैंपल बोल रहा हूँ, वॉट एवर इज योर परचेजेस, से ये 100 could be 100 crores और इट कुड बी 100 lakhs. इफ योर टोटल परचेजेस इज 100 lakhs, उसमें से आपको 80 lakhs जो है रजिस्टर्ड बंदे से खरीदना पड़ेगा, और 20 जो है वो भी रजिस्टर्ड से कर ले तो बेटर है, वरना आपको अनरजिस्टर्ड से आप खरीद सकते हो। बट मिनिमम क्या है, जो आपका टोटल परचेजेस है उसमें से 80 रजिस्टर्ड बंदे से रहना चाहिए, ठीक है? अगर सेकेंड ऑप्शन, इफ नॉट, देन यू हैव टू पे टैक्स एट 80% बाय द बिल्डर अंडर RCM। हमने 9(4) का कुछ बात कहा था, वो 9(4) यहाँ पे आएगा, ये बिल्डर को अप्लाई होगा। जहां पे ये एग्जाम्पल आप समझ गए हो, यहाँ पे एक दूसरा एग्जाम्पल ले लेते हैं। 100 का टोटल मेरा परचेजेस है, ठीक है? 100 का परचेजेस है, मैंने 70 जो है रजिस्टर्ड बंदे से ले लिया है, ओके? लेकिन लिमिट क्या बोलता था, 80% तो आपको खरीदना है रजिस्टर्ड से, लेकिन भाई मेरे को मिला नहीं, 70 मिला, बाकी 30% मैंने सीमेंट लिया है, अनरजिस्टर्ड है, ठीक है, कोई बात नहीं। तो 80 - 70 कितना है, 10। कितना होना चाहिए था, 80, लेकिन मैंने परचेज किया सिर्फ 70 रुपीज का, तो बैलेंस 10 जो है ये किससे परचेजेस है, अनरजिस्टर्ड से। सो 10 के ऊपर मुझे 18% पे करना पड़ेगा, ठीक है? ये जो 10 है उसका मुझे डिस्क्रिप्शन देना पड़ेगा। अगर ये 10 कुछ भी आइटम्स है तो 18%, लेकिन ये 10 अगर सीमेंट परचेजेस है, सीमेंट के ऊपर रेट ज्यादा है, तो फिर 10 के ऊपर मुझे 28% पे करना पड़ेगा। If I am buying non-cement items from unregistered person, then I have to pay at 18%. If I buy cement from unregistered person, then I have to pay 28%. Yes, Balaji.
Sir, my question is regarding the term affordable housing projects. Is it not true that the affordable term is quite vague? Because what is affordable for you, it may not be affordable for me because I earn nothing. So it is non-affordable for me even if it is a 1 lakh rupees price. So isn't there, don't you think there should be a term, particular amount given in this chapter so that we may understand which project will become under affordable, which project doesn't come under non-affordable, because every person doesn't have same capacity. If a businessman, he may be find affordable even if the price is in crores of rupees, and if a person who earns merely 20,000, 30,000 per month, he may find it difficult to purchase a house which costs around 5 lakh or 10 lakh rupees.
Right, sir. So that is the reason they have mentioned what is affordable. You have only asked for the value, but the government has gone one step ahead and they have said what is affordable not only in terms of the value, but also in terms of the square feet. I'm sorry, I did not discuss that prior, but your question is right. The 1% affordable housing is for area of 60 square meters for metros and 90 square meters for non-metros, and the value should be up to 45 lakhs. Where the house area is less than 60 square feet in metro cities and 90 square meters and below in non-metro cities, and the value should be less than 45 lakhs, then it is affordable house. Other than that, it is a non-affordable house. इलेक्ट्रिसिटी में भी क्या 80% चार्ज टोटल एक्सपेंसेस, क्योंकि इन्होंने क्या कर दिया है, इसमें बता दिया गया है कि 80-20 जो है, ओके, ऑफ इनपुट एंड इनपुट सर्विसेज एक्सक्लूजन भी कर दिया गया, अदर देन सर्विसेज बाय ग्रांट ऑफ डेवलपमेंट राइट, लॉन्ग टर्म लीज, एफएसआई, इलेक्ट्रिसिटी, हाई स्पीड डीजल. मैडम आपका क्वेश्चन आंसर हो गया. इलेक्ट्रिसिटी, डीजल, नेचुरल गैस, ये सब एक्सक्लूडेड होगा. बाकी जो परचेजेस है उसके लिए ही 80% 20% अप्लाई होगा. व्हाट इज कारपेट एरिया? देयर इज अ मेजरमेंट. जब आप घर खरीदने जाते हो तब कारपेट एरिया बोलते हैं कि जो आपका घर है इंक्लूडिंग कॉमन फैसिलिटीज क्या एरिया है. ओके, दैट इज कॉल्ड एज कारपेट एरिया. बट कारपेट एरिया इज एक्चुअली आपकी जगह, जो हाउस खरीदते हो आप, अपार्टमेंट, उसका जगह जो है उसे कहते हैं कारपेट एरिया. Vidushi, your question is answered. What is affordable housing? What is the monetary limit? 45 lakhs and 60 square meters and 90 square meters. Now this, इसमें हम देख रहे हैं कि अनरजिस्टर्ड पर्सन से भी आप जो खरीदोगे to the extent of shortfall, उसके ऊपर आप रिवर्स चार्ज करोगे. This is the service which is notified under 9(4), 9(3) और 9(4). So 9(4) भी हम समझ गए हैं अभी. Common passage, I don't think will get covered under carpet area. Okay. Next, we'll get into the composition supply scheme. अगर यहाँ तक clear हो गया, then we can go. I think mostly it is clear, right? We went so slowly that this slow तो कोई नहीं हो सकता. Composition scheme. What is composition scheme? It is a special scheme for charging GST on goods, wherein if you are very small and you are saying that I don't want to file the returns monthly, and I don't want to get into the input tax credit. Because input tax credit, when we learn, we'll see that claiming input tax credit, there are so many conditions. then even if one of the conditions is failed, then your credit will not be available. So if you are very small and you don't want to get into that headache, you have a scheme over here for you called as composition scheme. What does this composition scheme say? It says that there are two categories of composition scheme. One is composition scheme for goods, another one is composition scheme for services. So composition scheme for goods says that this is firstly covered under section 10. Okay, section 10, and it says very simply the following things, that if you are only supplying goods, then come to me. I'll give you a scheme called as composition scheme. Okay, you have come that you want to opt for this. Okay, so you have come to the composition scheme and you have opted for this. Now, who can opt for this composition? A manufacturer, a trader, or a restaurant service provider. One of these three person only can opt for composition scheme. Sir, restaurant service, you're saying service. तो फिर ये तो इधर आना चाहिए नहीं, because when this 10.1 came, this 10.2a was not there. So they got for 3 people and they didn't say it is for goods or something. They said composition will be only for 3 people, manufacturer, trader, and restaurant service provider. But what happened is after that 10.2a came in, and they should have put this here, but they have not put this. They are continuing it separately. So let's continue that way itself, because there is no change in the law even after 10.2a for services has come in. So 10.1, when we say composition scheme for goods, that will include restaurant also. So if you are a manufacturer, your normal GST rate will be 18%, 12%, 5%, fine, whatever will be the rate. But if you opt for composition scheme, then you have to pay just 1%, which is 0.5% for CGST, 0.5% for SGST. Just pay 1%. What? Of the turnover in the state or union territory. That is if you are a manufacturer. But when it comes to trader, again, same 1%, 0.5% CGST, 0.5% SGST. But the base for this, on what you will charge GST, will be on turnover of taxable supply of goods and services. Manufacturer also 1%, trader also 1%. But the difference is manufacturer, it will be 1% of the turnover in a state or union territory. For a trader, it will be 1% of the turnover of taxable supply of goods and services. Only on that. Okay. Manufacturer will pay more or trader will pay more. What do you think? Manufacturer, trader. Wow, very good. One person is a lot of fight happening. One is saying manufacturer, trader, manufacturer, trader, manufacturer, trader. Oh, hey. Turnover. We have to understand the definition of turnover. Generally, turnover means total turnover. But here, for a trader, it says turnover of taxable supplies of goods and services, which means it will only be paying GST on those turnover which is taxable, but manufacturer will pay on the total turnover, whether it is taxable or non-taxable or it is exempt. On all the turnovers, he'll pay 1%, which means manufacturer will pay on a bigger base and a trader will pay on a smaller base. Manufacturer will pay on 1% of the total turnover. The turnover will be taxable turnover, exempt turnover, non-GST turnover, everything. So manufacturer will be paying a higher tax. And restaurant service will be 5% of the services what they provide. This is the basis of composition scheme for goods. Now composition scheme for services 10(2)(a) says on any kind of service provider, it will be at 6%. Goods will be 1%, restaurant will be 5%, service provider will be at 6%. Clear? Now let's understand the basic scheme of composition. Composition scheme will be, firstly, it is voluntarily and optional scheme, not a compulsory scheme की आपका turnover, firstly it is for a turnover up to 1.5 crores, जिसका turnover 1.5 crores है उसके लिए applicable है. So if you have a turnover up to 1.5 crores, then you can opt for this. But in case of 8 special category states, so अपने favorite वाले states से TNMM और USMA, correct? You remember, no, what is TNMM and USMA? For that specific states, the limit is 75 lakhs. For all other states, it is 1.5 crores. This is the turnover of previous year. Agar if you're continuing business and if you want to opt for composition, if you are new, then you can definitely opt because you are new, you have not yet touched the turnover of 1.5 crores. If you are existing, then you have to see your previous year turnover. If your previous year turnover is less than 1.5 crores, then up to 1.5 crores of current year, you can opt for composition. Once you cross it, you have to jump out of it. You have to come back to normal. Similarly, if you are in special category states of this 4 states, then your previous turnover should be 75 lakhs and current year up to 75 lakhs, you can go for composition scheme. And for turnover for composition scheme for services, for goods 1.5 crores, for services 50 lakhs. Up to 50 lakh rupees, previous year's turnover and current year turnover up to 50 lakhs, you can go for composition scheme. This is voluntary, not optional. Saying that नहीं आप छोटे आपको composition में जाना पड़ेगा, ऐसा compulsory नहीं है. Because under composition, the biggest drawback is you can't claim the input tax credit. But if you know that no, today you are small, but within a month you'll make a sale, then you will not go for composition, you'll go for regular scheme, claim all the input tax credit also. Correct? So that's why this is voluntary and optional scheme, not a compulsory scheme. You can go for regular registration or composition registration. The benefit is quarterly payment of taxes. A normal taxpayer pays taxes monthly, but a composition taxpayer pays taxes quarterly without claiming, of course, input tax credit. No input tax credit. पहले rate इतना कम है, उसमें आप input tax credit भी ले लोगे. Not possible. So input tax credit is not available and you have to file just one annual return, one return. 12 महीने का रिटर्न छोड़ के आपको सिर्फ वन रिटर्न फाइल करना है. नो नीड ऑफ क्लासिफिकेशन इशू, ये जीएसटी रेट है, ये HSN है, वो झमेला नहीं है. डायरेक्टली जो भी रहेगा उसके ऊपर आपको 1%, 1%, 5% एंड 6% पे करना है. अंडरस्टूड कॉम्पोजिशन स्कीम? Okay, so yes, we will learn more about composition and ticket. So for now, what we'll do is we'll try to take some MCQ on the previous chapter to understand how much you have understood. Yes, somebody has raised the hand. Yes, Bhavna.
सर मुझे स्पेसिफाइड बिजनेस दोबारा बता दो.
स्पेसिफाइड बिजनेस कहाँ पे है?
सर ये इस वाले टॉपिक से पहले है सर, कंपोजिशन स्कीम से। इससे भी पहले से। हाँ, इसमें सर स्पेसिफाइड, सॉरी, प्रेमिसेस।
स्पेसिफाइड प्रेमाइसेस मतलब जब एक आपको ताज होटल पता है?
क्या सर?
ताज होटल, ओबरॉय,
यस सर।
वो बड़े बड़े होटल्स है, वहां पे स्टे भी होता है और खाना भी मिलता है, करेक्ट?
यस सर।
तो वहाँ का रूम टैरिफ्स मिनिमम तो 9,000 10,000 रहता है।
यस सर।
तो वैसे प्रेमाइसेस से जब आप जोमेटो बुक करते हो तब जोमेटो जीएसटी पे नहीं करेगा, ताज होटल ही पे करेगा, ठीक है? तो
सर
वैसे
व्हाट इज द
स्पेसिफाइड प्रेमाइसेस है जहां पर रूम्स बुकिंग होता है। अकोमोडेशन का मतलब क्या है? रूम बुकिंग। जहां पर भी फूड और रूम बुकिंग साथ में चलता है और फूड बुकिंग, रूम बुकिंग का रेट 7,500 से ज्यादा है, तब उसका जीएसटी वो होटल ही पे करेगी, ई कॉमर्स पे नहीं करेगी।
ओके सर। सर फिर इस सेकंड पॉइंट में क्या डिफरेंस है स्पेसिफाइड बिजनेस से?
वो तो सेकेंड पॉइंट में क्या होता है, सेकेंड पॉइंट में वो होटल्स कवर होते हैं जहां पे ई कॉमर्स यूज करते हैं आप, सेम वहां पर भी ई कॉमर्स वगैरह कवर हो जाएगा। अगर आप सेम ताज होटल को मेक माई ट्रिप से बुक करते हैं तब सेकेंड पॉइंट में कवर होगा, लेकिन वहां पर भी मेक माई ट्रिप पे नहीं करेगा, बिकॉज वहां पे जो ताज होटल है वो ऑलरेडी रजिस्टर्ड है।
यस सर।
तो अगर द होटल पर्सन इज रजिस्टर्ड देन द होटल पर्सन विल पे जीएसटी। अगर होटल पर्सन रजिस्टर्ड नहीं है तो फिर ई कॉमर्स कंपनी को पे करना पड़ेगा।
ओके सर।
क्लियर ना?
यस सर। सर अगर मतलब कि जैसे होटल से खाना बुक किया हमने और जोमेटो या फिर स्विगी से आया खाना, तो हमने होटल तो बुक नहीं किया, तो फिर वहाँ पे मतलब वो समझ नहीं आया मुझे।
होटल से तो हम बुक नहीं करेंगे, लेकिन कुछ तो मापदंड होना चाहिए कि बड़ा होटल कौन है, छोटा होटल कौन, ठीक है?
सर
अगर
वहाँ पे हम लोग
हाँ, हम
मतलब
लोग जा
रूम।
नहीं रहे, बुक नहीं कर रहे, करेक्ट है, लेकिन जीएसटी ने सोचा अगर कोई बड़ा 5 स्टार होटल है उसमें टैरिफ 7.5 होगा, तो उसका मतलब है वो कंपनी ऑर्गेनाइज्ड है, उनको जीएसटी पे करना पता है, तो उनकी जवाबदारी हम ई कॉमर्स के ऊपर नहीं डालेंगे। लेकिन 5,000 रुपए वाले, 2,000 रुपए वाले जो रूम बुकिंग होते हैं और खाना भी बेचते हैं, अब हम उनका भरोसा नहीं कर सकते हैं कि वो जीएसटी सही पे करेंगे या नहीं। इसके लिए उनकी जवाबदारी क्या है, हम ई कॉमर्स वाले को दे देते
ओके सर, थैंक यू सर।
हैं। ओके, सो विल गो टू आवर एमसीक्यूज। फर्स्ट एमसीक्यू में क्वेश्चन का आंसर क्या रहेगा? First one, yes, everybody is given a correct answer. It is D. Second, if you are saying B, if you are saying C, exempt supply means supply of any goods or services which attracts nil rate of tax and non-taxable supply. So exempt supply के definition में non-taxable supply and nil both are included. So it is C, both A and B. Okay. Third one. थर्ड वन सी आएगा, सी नहीं आएगा, ए ही आएगा, बिकॉज इट एक्सटेंड्स टू द होल ऑफ इंडिया. सिर्फ जम्मू एंड कश्मीर को एक्सटेंड होगा नहीं ना, इट कुड बी इधर होल ऑफ इंडिया या पहले जो एक्ट्स थे जीएसटी के पहले एक्ट्स उसमें जनरली क्या होता था, होल ऑफ इंडिया एक्सेप्ट जम्मू एंड कश्मीर, क्योंकि तब जम्मू एंड कश्मीर ने इंडियन एक्ट्स अप्लाई नहीं किए थे. लेकिन जीएसटी आने के बाद होल ऑफ इंडिया ही होगा. फोर्थ वन, फोर्थ वन ए बी डी सब कुछ आ गया. अच्छा सी नहीं आया. क्यों सी नहीं आएगा? सी लिखा है किसी ने, वेरी नाइस. गुड. It is D because on all of this it applies. GTA पे लगेगा, arbitral tribunal services provided by way of sponsorship by to any body corporate, by any corporate sponsorship by to. Okay. Provided sponsorship provided to sponsorship services provided to a body corporate or partnership firm. So on all of the above. Last MCQ. Which of the scenarios fall under scope of Schedule 3? Five, A या C? Somebody is saying on C also. Deepali, Priyadarshini and Bhumika are saying C. You need to tell me the reason why it is C. Karan Kumar, you are saying it is applicable on 5B. Why applicable on 5B? Okay. Schedule 3 covers transaction of supply between an employer and employee. An employer and employee relationship means it is salary. So under Schedule 3, only director's remuneration is declared as salary is covered. Director's remuneration which is declared as separately other than salaries and which 194J is deducted, that is liable to reverse charge. The question here is, what is the scope of Schedule 3? So this is the correct answer. काफी समझाया अच्छा अच्छे से तेजस्विन, फिर भी लोग बोल रहे बी एंड सी. Never mind. Okay, so we will discuss again on the last part of composite supply. Goods तो हमने समझ लिया है. Intra-Cs turnover, we'll see when do we register for composition and composition for services. And next class, what we'll do is half itself we will cover the composition. Then next chapter we'll take in the next class itself on place of supply. Okay. Thank you very much. We will see you in the next class.